So I've been working on some stuff with a giveaway car. I kind of pulled the fuel lines down and the vapor canister return line down so it's not just in the engine bay disconnected. So kind of been really working on this thing. Haven't been able to really work on too much other stuff. We got the tranny and the engine bolted together, and last night I was doing the timing. So I put the, let's see, so I put the new camshaft seals in, and then I also put a new crank seal in and cleaned some stuff up. We did not have, there's an O-ring right here for the water pump. So the water pump, it was a Beck, what is that, Beck Arnley or whatever. And it didn't come with the seal for that. So the pump's right there. It did come with any gaskets, matter of fact. So to be able to finish the timing, I need that seal so I can put the water pump on, because you can't you have to have the water pump on to do the timing, because this cover right here, you could do it, but that bolt is behind the cover and it's kind of a pain to actually get to. But well, there's like a cover that goes on that. It's this black cover right there. So once the water pump's on, once we get that seal, I'll put the water pump on, put that cover on, put the VVTi gear on and the normal sprocket, time it, and there's a new tensioner right there. Trevor still needs to order valve cover gaskets, this O-ring, a new idler for the tensioner, and then yeah, I could pretty much put this thing the rest of the way together, and then we can get in the car. So all that that's all that it really needs, is because it's kind of a pain to do timing in the car. So yeah, once that is finished, then we could smash it in the car and work on, like over there, the exhaust. So what I'm probably going to do with that is that resonator puts it onto the driver's side, but if you flip it over, it puts it onto the other side of the car. So I'm probably just going to bolt it on upside down so it points it to the other side of the car. And hold on, let me make sure I'm not super zoomed in. And then I will pretty much fabricate up an exhaust like I did to Jesse's car once we get the turbochargers on its way from Garrett. What else? Oh, and then today I picked up some fuel station signs. I still have a lot more to get. The guy had a bunch of them, and man, it's bright out here. Had a bunch of them and wanted to get rid of them, so I bought them all from him. So I'll probably keep a few of them and then I'll sell the rest. But most of the, I don't know if you know about fuel station signs, but I have a huge, like, this is like the whole bed of my truck. I have a shell one. Then it's like what is it, Bradley or whatever, and then a bunch of Conoco ones. So there's what, 4 neon ones, and then a bunch of extra spare covers. So yeah, and then there's a bunch of like 7-Eleven ones, and like Loaf and Jug ones, and Shamrock ones I still need to go get tomorrow. And then I might be going up to Denver tomorrow, so I'll grab the bolts for that. My friend that works at Sherwin-Williams said he had some paint for me, so I need to go pick that up as well. I think he's going to actually give me some pearls, so we'll see. I'm not sure if they're water-based, because last time he gave us gave me a bunch of water-based pearls, but we don't paint in water-based, so it kind of sucks because I have all these premium. Oh, I'm gonna shake it up. It needs to be shaken up. It's been sitting for a while, but all these premium pearls, and this is all water-based paint. So all these premium pearls for water-based paint but I guess people say it's like a really a pain in water base. So what else? Need to actually, like, it'll be nice once this engine is bolted to the subframe. So I pressed in the ball joints, and now the subframe's all nice and clean and done and ready to have an engine bolted on it. Yeah, so once it's bolted in the car, it'll be nice because it'll roll around. It'll have stock length lower control arms, so it won't be like super like cambered out like it was before. It'll be a really nice street car. I can't wait till I get the other turbocharger, because we're gonna spray it purple like the rest of the stuff we did, and it'll be fun to fabricate up some intercooler piping. I like fabbing stuff up. Oh, and then another thing is I'm finished with Adam's diff, other than it's missing the pinion seal. I'll have a video up how to rebuild an R200, but you know, this has the correct, well, it has perfect run out and backlash. I put new bearings, new seals in it, and it's a 4.6 rear end, so he's probably gonna have some fun with this thing. And yeah, so this diff I need to rebuild for the giveaway car too. It's a Tomei, and it had a bunch of, I'm not sure if I showed you guys, but people were talking crap on Trevor's channel that I don't know how to rebuild a diff and all this BS, because there was somebody installed like a bunch, that's a normal shim, but somebody installed a bunch of these like super thin shims, which practically do nothing. And when you would move these stubs, there would be all kinds of, because the whole diff was moving back and forth, the whole carrier was moving back and forth, because the shims, when you do a bunch of these little small ones, it's actually not the same if you do like a stack. Here, let me grab the other side because it's a lot better representation of what was actually going on. This Tomei for the S14 had like a crazy vibration, and when I pulled it apart, it was obvious what the vibration cause was. Let's see. Okay, so usually on the passenger side, there should be like one single washer that is around that thick, or one spacer, washer spacer, whatever. But this has like 13, like probably millimeter shims to like compensate, because they probably, like, I don't know, they added shims and subtracted shims from, actually they subtracted shims from, so what they did on this Tomei, not on this one's shimmed perfect. So if you want to hear a nice, here, this is the backlash. I don't know if you can hear it. Oh, here, watch my hand. This is the backlash on Adam's diff I built him. So that's the tooth engagement from the pinion to the actual ring gear. So I made it, you know, I've built quite a few 240 diffs. What I have, my Nismo two-way in my original blue coupe, I had like, I think 50 or 60,000 miles I put on that. I had so many miles on that two-way, I had to like buy another pack of clutches and put them in it because I had so many miles on it. So, you know, this is very nice. All I'm waiting for is that pinion seal. The one that I got was the wrong one. But yeah, never. So the moral of the story is if you're going to rebuild a diff, especially a 240 diff, if all you're doing is sticking in like LSD, or you're just putting new bearings in it, as long as you keep everything in order, you most likely won't have to reshim it or move any shims around. Sometimes with the LSDs, you have to take the large spacer and move it over to the other side. It just depends on what LSD it is. So when I did my Nismo one, it's been a long time. It's been almost, 13 years or something since I built it. I think when I built that one, I moved the large spacer over to the passenger side, but I'd have to open it to actually make sure. And then there's multiple checks you could do. Like when I built Adams, you check backlash with an actual dial indicator. You check the tooth engagement with paint, and then you can also measure everything to check to make sure you have the right amount of spacers in it. The thing I found when I first built Adams diff, I had to actually add the stock 240 spacer. So on the pinion, it's the pinion, and then I just pulled it directly out of the Nissan Pathfinder front differential and pressed it in. Well, the issue with that is it still had the spacer for that pinion because it was shimmed to that diff housing. So when I initially painted the gears, the tooth engagement was super low, so the pinion was sitting further in than it should. I think it was around like 5 to 10 millimeters. So it was definitely not good. So it chattered a lot. I think I have a video of it. It'll be in the upload with rebuilding R200 240SX diff, but it was no good. So I had to press the pinion back out, put the spacer from the 240 pinion onto the Pathfinder 4.6 pinion, press a new bearing on, press it into the differential housing, and then now this is the result I got. And you know, there's really no reason to like skip steps. If you don't get the right result the first time, don't worry, just go back and try something a little bit different. If it's your first time building a diff or first time doing anything, you can research it online. You can look up factory service manuals to see. Usually they'll tell you if it looks like this or it's doing that, you need to do this. So it's better to do it right the first time instead of just like, if you have something off just a little bit, never just go with it and just be like, well, I'll fix it later, because usually later means like your diff blows up or your engine blows up or something happens. So it's really just like a few extra, like maybe an hour, half an hour more to do it the right way. And especially, I could have just reused like seals and stuff, but I didn't want to do that. Or I could have reused bearings. And when you press bearings on and off, they're no good anymore. So you always have to replace bearings, especially when you pull from the outer race. If you can get a bearing pressed off without pulling from an outer race, you usually can reuse it. But the bearings, they're so cheap as is. You could, all the bearings to rebuild, all the bearings and seals to rebuild that were $200. So $200 can go a long way, not having to worry about failure later on because you reuse bearings, and especially when you press off and pull on races and stuff, it makes it kind of like an oval, and then they fail really quick. So, another thing, when you assemble these, you assemble them with the actual gear fluid or gear oil that you're going to use in the differential. So the seals, the bearings, everything. You don't want to actually apply. I've seen a lot of stuff on the internet where people say to actually put like a grease in the bearing. You don't want to do that. If you put any kind of grease in the bearing, the thing with grease, you can put like, let's see if Trevor has some of it. So this petroleum jelly, this stuff right here, you can put in the bearings. Well, one thing is it will dissolve into the oil, the gear oil, the engine oil, whatever oil, it will dissolve. So it's a good thing that diff is done on the most part, just waiting for that seal, and then I can send it off to Adam, and then I'll rebuild that Tomei for the giveaway car, and that'll be nice. And I'll kind of adjust it and shim it to the correct backlash and all the other stuff, because that was just ridiculous. Whoever shimmed that didn't know what they're doing. You never it brings me back to that point. You never use like smaller shims. A bunch of smaller shims don't equal a larger shim because they can compress and contract, like they're not solid. So you always want to use either the correct size shim. If you can't, use two thicker shims. So yeah, I think everything else is going well. I'll probably have the bolts for the VR4 so I can actually finally get it aligned. And then, I don't know, this has kind of been a rambling episode of my vlogs, but hopefully, you know, there's so much stuff going on just with the giveaway car and like painting stuff and the VR4 in my house and like getting signs, and we need to go get another car tonight maybe. Some lady calls us back. Working on the Juke a little bit. I need to remove these two supports. I have new ones and they kind of just spot weld in. You can see how bent they are compared to the ones that are actually on the car still. So I'm going to drill out the spot welds really quick, and then I'll probably end up taking it over to the shop to weld on the new pieces. I wish that we had a spot weld welder, but we don't. So I'll probably end up having to temporarily remove this intercooler really quick just so I can get to the lower spot welds and then those ones up there. But I think it'll go pretty quick and pretty easy. And once I have those on, me and Trevor could spray it, or I could like get a paint match spray can because it's not too much to paint, and then get it all back together, put the hood, the fenders, the bumper, and actually be able to kind of cruise it around until someone buys it. Okay, so I drilled out all the spot welds. This piece right here, you can see it's a little wrinkled. All I need to do is get a dolly and a hammer and straighten that out, and that'll be good. Make it look just like this side, and then I'll just have to put some either vice grips or like C-clamps and hold all this stuff together, and then give her a nice weld all the way for all these new spot welds. I need to still pull this out, but I'll have to pull the intercooler to actually drill those spot welds out and then tack those spot welds. So, you know, coming together. I just need to do those few little things. I need to go bring this over to the shop now. I have the new upgraded headlights. They're off the 17s, so they're actually projectors. So if you want to actually be able to see what you're doing, and when you're driving around, when you have a Juke, because the other ones are just halogens, these are HID projectors. So they're pretty cheap for HIDs. Each light was like $200, so that's really like a steal, because usually ballasts are like $100 or $150 from the dealership, and I got those directly from the dealer. I got all these parts from the dealer. So another thing I need to order, I could do it later, but an air filter, because that air filter is all nasty looking. It's probably the original one. It says Nissan on it and stuff. I doubt they've changed it. So I think I have all the parts. I'm bringing the headlights because I have to bolt them up with the pieces so everything's lined up, and I'm gonna tack it, make sure everything's gonna fit nicely, and then actually make sure everything's gonna fit, and then do the final welding so I don't weld it and then find out it's not all gonna go together correctly. I'll probably end up bolting the hood on and the fenders and stuff later tonight, just to check that out. So other than that, and then I could end up driving this thing over, because I'll have the like support on it and the radiator. I won't have the fans. I might take the fans with me just so I could, you know, I need to put these clamps on, and then I got some fluid. But yeah, the Juke's coming together. The 240 is, you know, still sitting over there being a shelf, and the BMW's sitting outside. Poor BMW. So yeah, I don't know. I think we're getting pretty close with the giveaway car, it's actually come together very nicely now that we're waiting for like the dumbest part. We needed like a little O-ring, and it kind of held up, well, it kind of held up the progress and that crankshaft bolt. But now that those two things are, we have the O-ring and the crankshaft bolt, I timed it last night, we put it in the car, and it looks really good. So if you want a chance at winning that car, go to motionautotv.com and buy some merchandise and stuff. So yeah, I hopefully can get this thing pretty much like together tonight, and then I need to do brakes on it and some maintenance stuff and fix these. I don't know where these scratches came from, but look at that. Those like two little like scratches. Probably somebody's keys when they walked by it or something. And then there's like light hail on it. You probably can't see it. There's like some hail there and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. So I'll probably, once I'm finished with it, I'll take it to the body shop and have them push all those hail dents, and then the Juke will be good to go. I don't know, I kind of want to make, because it's direct injected, I don't know if you guys know all about the direct injected engines, but my Audi's direct injected as well, and it's pretty much the injector goes into the head. Same as this, there's no injectors. There's injectors, they're just not in the port. So the valves get like really cruddy really fast, and you have to have them walnut blasted. I cleaned them out, I don't know, a couple months ago, and then it's just like you lose performance. So what I was probably going to do is I was going to make some intercooler pipes, because I'm going to have to weld all those pipes for the giveaway car, and I'll probably just make like a hard pipe for this, and then make it so it has like water meth injection, just so it can like clean the ports and not like have it on there for performance, but just so it'll be on there so it'll kind of bathe like the ports and like make them so they're actually not all like, I don't know, not all like cruddy, because I don't really like having to clean that thing all the time, and it only has like 65,000 miles, so I'd have to clean it like 20 more times before this thing probably blew up. Or I could just not clean it and then blow up before I'd have to clean it.